Just a quick heads up, Marijuana Nation. This is my last week of publishing our show at a later time. As regular listeners know, I've been engaged over the last 5 weeks or so teaching Ultimate Frisbee to kids in the town where I coach. You should take that as a mark of how serious I take Ultimate Frisbee, given that there are very few things in my life that I'd delay this show for. Because of last week's crazy windstorm up in Maine and the disruption it caused in the school system, I'm bound over for a few more days this week, helping to create the next generation of Ultimate Frisbee playing badasses. We'll be back to our normal 11 a.m. Eastern Standard publishing time 1 week from today. Thanks for the assumed patience. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, November 6th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 367 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day brings us up to my corner of the country here in Maine, where, as expected, our Governor Paul LePage issued a veto on Friday on a piece of legislation that lays out the details for how an adult-use marijuana commercial market will work. I've reported on this one lots, most recently on Friday, previewing the anticipated LePage veto. Governor LePage is, of course, one of the country's worst governors, prone to regular Trumponian fits of bigotry and hypocrisy, so his veto letter issued on Friday surprised no one. This means that unless the legislature can muster the necessary 2/3 of present lawmaker votes to override the veto later today, the state's illicit market will continue to reign supreme for the foreseeable future. Governor LePage's legislative lackey, House Minority Leader Ken Fredette, says that assuming they can sustain the veto, lawmakers would revisit the bill when the state legislature reconvenes in next year's regular session. We'll report back tomorrow on how today's attempted veto override goes. David Bienstock over at Leafly has a good piece up looking at all the lessons we've learned about the legalization of adult-use marijuana in the 5 years since Colorado and Washington first voted to allow it via ballot measure. This is one of those stories you should definitely click over for the full read, but in short, things have gone amazingly well for legal cannabis, all things considered. As David points out, in those 5 years since legalization first passed, there's been no rise in the number of kids using marijuana, nor has there been an increase in the number of traffic fatalities or violent crime. Tax revenues are up, opioid use and abuse is down, and the world is waking up to the various ways cannabis can be consumed, with regular flowered marijuana being overtaken in sales by methods like vaping, edibles, and topicals. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Open this one up, read it, and then share it widely. Good stories all around. Our final top story of the day is a service outage that hit marijuana software company MJ Freeway on Friday, as yet another technical issue knocked the company's dispensary customers offline for the better part of the day, wiping out the entirety of the day's transactions for some of those affected. MJ Freeway still has around 1,000 dispensary customers after being hit with continual and constant technical issues over the year, stemming from their reliance on a legacy software platform they built in the early days as a company. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed, our popular email newsletter that goes out at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard with all the day's relevant industry headlines organized by state. There's no fluff with the newsfeed, just the news and headlines you need to know. You listen to this show for a well-curated view on the day's news. The newsfeed is there to round out the rest of it. With 30 to 60 relevant news stories popping up each and every day, you can't afford to miss a beat. Get in on the best newsletter in the industry by swinging over to mjtodaymedia.com/newsfeed to subscribe. That's mjtodaymedia.com/newsfeed. All right, time for the blitz. Alan Brockstein over New Cannabis Ventures picked up on the news that the state of Ohio has issued 11 Level 2 provisional cultivation licenses, allowing license holders to grow up to 3,000 square feet of cannabis each. A number of the license applicants won in multiple locations and will be required by the state to choose the one they want to receive. Swing over to New Cannabis Ventures for the complete list of winners. CBC News up in Canada has a story up about a possible delay to that country's rollout of nationwide adult use legalization set to hit next summer, in the form of a reluctant federal Senate, which will take up consideration of the overall legalization bill in the coming weeks. I'm not as caught up on Canadian politics as I probably should be, but the consensus, as reported by CBC News, seems to be that there's no large supportive bloc of cannabis-friendly senators to see Bill C-45 through. This is another one we'll be closely following. Activists in New Mexico are continuing to fight to add opioid dependency to their list of medical marijuana qualifying conditions. Marijuana reform in New Mexico is hampered by a very non-supportive governor, with the state's top politician, Susana Martinez, being loud and clear that she thinks it's better to maintain marijuana's illegal status. But as Leafly's Lisa Ruff is reporting, the majority of gubernatorial candidates vying to replace Governor Martinez have come out in favor of medical marijuana, with even those opposed having a more nuanced take on the issue than their current governor. Good luck with that one. The state of Michigan is starting a one-year pilot program on Wednesday, allowing police officers to invade the privacy of drivers by requiring them to submit to a mouth swab test intended to detect people driving under the influence of drugs, including marijuana. The program will run in 5 counties and allow specially trained police officers to administer the mouth swab on any driver they suspect of driving under the influence, with the refusal to take the test resulting in an additional infraction. Of course, as regular listeners know, there's no scientifically valid way for testing if someone is too high on cannabis to drive, so I'm sure there won't be any problems with their new pilot program. And yes, I'm being sarcastic with that one. We'll report back as the first set of lawsuits starts to roll in. Starting this month in Colorado, cannabis consumers are eligible for discounts when using the Lyft ride-sharing program to purchase and consume marijuana. The program was first enacted back in April as part of the state's 420 holiday and is being extended to a larger program that will run from November through April of next year. The campaign is being called the 320 Movement and is a joint undertaking between Lyft, the Colorado Department of Transportation, and the Marijuana Industry Group, who hope to reduce the number of high drivers on the road. Pennsylvania recently opened up the process for its citizens to apply to become medical marijuana patients, and at least one doctor in the state is probably rethinking her decision to become a recommending agent, as gynecologist Dr. Leanne Barkowiak has been overwhelmed with appointment requests from legions of men looking to get their medical marijuana card. Of course, the problem with that is that OBGYNs only treat women. And finally for today, we look to a great piece in the Boston Globe highlighting our friend Shaleen Title, an on-hiatus regular on our weekly show Marijuana Today, who's probably best known now for her position as a Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission member. Shaleen is a longtime and dedicated activist who cut her teeth with our favorite drug policy org, Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and is working to adjust to her new position as a regulator. Another good one to open up in full. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.